As you probably know, superheroes rely heavily on VFX to bring not only the characters to life, but to build worlds, enhance exhilarating action sequences, create mind-bending out-of-body experiences, and to make a lame superhero entrance awesome.
Superhero landing coming up.
This creates amazing sequences that's impossible to make outside of a comic book. Meticulous amounts of detail go into these creations, with every single aspect mapped out and honed to make it look as realistic as possible. VFX also helps clean up the scene and hide any hidden wires hanging off of the stunt crew. Actors are scanned rigorously to get their likeness and body movements to not only make them feel more realistic, but to also allow the actors to act. But while there are some obvious uses of CGI, there are some that make the line between real and fake even blurrier. For instance, instead of using a body double or an entire CGI body, the VFX team for Captain America, the First Avenger, painstakingly narrowed Chris Evans' body to make him look skinny. This helps us endear to him before he becomes the muscle-bound freak we all know. While a large chunk of stunts and special effects are done with the help of CGI, some are actually real. Well, kind of. One of the coolest practical effects used in superhero movies is the sky-high plane crash sequence in The Dark Knight Rises. Amazingly, Nolan opted not to use CGI, and instead, with stunt coordinator Tom Struthers, left the stuntman dangling from cables as they made their way to the C-130 plane. Which makes this even more amazing is the fact that it was filmed in only 2 days, with Nolan heralding this stunt as the most impressive he's ever done, and it's easy to see why. Another impressive practical effect comes in Sam Raimi's original Spider-Man trilogy, where Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man uses his newfound Spidey reflexes to catch Mary Jane's lunch after it accidentally launched into the air.
Wow, great reflexes.
While the original trilogy did not shy away from the use of CGI, Maguire decided he wanted to do the stunt for real, using a whopping 156 takes before finally getting it right. To his credit, it was totally worth it. The heroes may often steal the show, but the worlds they inhabit often add layer and texture to the movies and the characters. The sets built are often a reflection of the character's mindset, and often provide us subtle subtext. From the Batcave to the top of Avengers Tower and the Fortress of Solitude, Korg's bachelor pad in New Asgard, these sets add tone to the movie that often go underappreciated.
Beers in the bucket. Feel free to log into the Wi-Fi. No password, obviously.
One of the most creative worlds built is the Kingdom of Atlantis in Aquaman. With only a brief glimpse of Atlantis in Justice League, director James Wan was given the keys to build a creative and immersive world of his own. This allowed him to really work with the civilization and mythology of the world, playing with the Atlantis folklore while creating a world that suited his vision. The result was a technically advanced world, but with archaic views and traditions, and a deep distrust of the world on land. Another example of creative set design is Bane's lair in Dark Knight Rises, which provided the perfect place for a first matchup between Bane and Bats. Due to the nature of this fight, Nolan wanted to make the set feel as dark and gritty as possible, and while most of the lead-up was filmed on location, Bane's lair was built in a hangar, so to make it feel like they were on location, set designer Nathan Crowley pumped vast amounts of water around the set to add to the sewer vibe. Action and fight sequences might serve as the main set piece, but they also serve to add to the tone of the movie. Whether it be more of a gritty hand-to-hand combat in a closed environment or something more slapstick, these sequences are often rigorously rehearsed and planned to capture the right tone. This changes even within the MCU, with the Russo brothers stating that they wanted to go with a more realistic approach to combat with the use of martial arts, while James Gunn in Guardians of the Galaxy went for a more comedic sci-fi approach with less fighting and more blasters and weird whistle weapons. One of the most impressive pieces of action in the superhero world comes in the Season 2 of Netflix's Daredevil series. After an already grueling sequence in Season 1, the DD team tried to top it off in Season 2 with the showrunners wanting to make it feel like DD was descending into hell. While the hallway sequence in Season 1 was filmed on set with a track in the ceiling for the camera, this sequence was shot on location with the team having to deal with the tricky confines of the staircase as they handed the camera off to different members of the crew. The finished sequence is brutal and really captures the tone of the show while giving fans something to remember. While superhero movies aren't always known for high acting performance levels,
what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
Some of the acting techniques and improvisation by the actors really add to the characters and give them further depth. Heath Ledger famously went method for his performance as the Joker in The Dark Knight, locking himself away in a hotel and keeping a Joker diary as he drove deep into the mind of the crazy clown. He also further emphasized existing tricks he had, as well as designing the costume himself to really hit home his adaptation of the character. Even the MCU, who are sometimes criticized for not allowing creativity in their movies, have some great moments of improvisation, including Tom Holland's "I don't want to go" line as he turns to dust in Infinity War, making it even more heartbreaking, as well as Robert Downey Jr. improvising the perfect final line for Iron Man in Endgame with "I am Iron Man." Despite many conspiracy theories, RDJ also improvised the "Love You 3000" line.
I love you 3000.
Which was a reference to his children who used to say that to him, adding even more emotion and connection to his character.